You know what? I feel the need for some intellectual stimulation because, believe me, I've not read for a while. I haven't had things recited to me, like the epics of Homer and the epics of loads of other famous poets from around the world and in the history of literature. And you know what? I heard slam poetry is a big thing right now. And apparently there's a new up-and-coming, what's the actual phrase they use? Latinx, that's it, a Latinx person. I assume he comes from some kind of extrasolar planet because there's an X in there, so he's some kind of, like, alien. What's that? Do you mean it's just a gender-neutral term for Latino, Latina? Oh. Well, I mean, a Latino, Latina, Latinx person who's clearly an American. He's just an American. Is that okay? And what is this poem about? It's about, white privilege. Oh, okay, well, that's just... Well, okay, hopefully it's good. Take it away, sir.
Excuse me?
Yes?
You dropped your white privilege.
Wait, what white privilege? What? Oh, you made me look, you bastard.
Must be real hard, you know? Not being discriminated against.
Oh yeah, it's not like a guy recently in Chicago didn't get discriminated against because of his race. Oh no, wait, that was just his disability. It had nothing to do with race. It's not like they were saying fuck white people and all that, right? And it's not like affirmative action doesn't help them. It only helps people like me and you because of our skin colour, and kind of discriminates against them because if they're good for the job, but there's somebody else who isn't white and isn't good for the job, but the little company has a quota to fill, they have to pick the person who isn't as well qualified because of their race, because they have a quota to fill. So yeah, apparently they're not discriminated against. Yeah, that's funny.
What was that? You got every job you applied for because your name didn't sound black?
Yeah, apparently people aren't getting jobs because of their names. Are you sure about that in current year? And if so, I'm pretty sure they're not getting jobs because they're not good enough for the jobs. Right? I'm pretty sure that's probably the case.
With all that money, you could buy the same clothes I wear and not get called a thug.
Wow, you took a line out of Bernie Sanders' book, White People Aren't Poor, They've Got All the Money. So yeah, apparently white people are not only not discriminated against, they get all the jobs because their names don't sound black, even though black people have the same names as white people on average, you know, like Tom, Dick and Harry. But no, apparently they have all this money and they can buy the same clothes as this Latino guy and not be called a thug. Well, that's funny because in the UK, if a white person was to dress like you, he'd be called a chav, believe it or not. He'd be called a chav. And that's a derogatory term for a white working class person. Essentially, white trash in America. It's British English for white trash. They'd be called white trash if they dressed like you, or a thug, or a criminal, anything like that, or a ruffian, a scoundrel. You see, if people dress like that, they will be called that regardless.
Bummer, right? You like watching Fox News? You ever heard about stop and frisk?
Oh yeah, believe me, I have heard of that. And my dad got stopped and frisked. His mates also got stopped and frisked, white and black and mixed race. Do you want to know why? Because they lived in the working class area that was full of crime, and if you're known to the police, you will be stopped and frisked. So I'm not saying that you may have done anything wrong, but if you have done anything wrong and you're known to the police, you get stopped and frisked more than somebody who isn't known. Believe me, this comes from a person who's been stopped and questioned by the police randomly because something happened in the area and I fitted the description of somebody who did the crime. I'm not known by them, so I don't get stopped and questioned all the time. Maybe you need to look at your own behaviour first. Just saying.
How it sent my boy Jeremy upstate, scared his family down south. Oh, you want to be down? Well, getting your rights violated is all the rage.
Wait, so because this guy's been sent to prison, therefore his rights are being violated? Is that what you're saying, or is this completely different? And how are your rights getting violated exactly? Even if you're not going to prison, how are your rights getting violated? Hey, apparently you're oppressed, so whatever. Let's continue, people.
There's a new dance you could appropriate. It's called the Central Booking Shuffle. Come on, get in the squad car, party bus.
Yeah, mate, punk music called. They want their coloured hair back. Oh wait, punk music is a predominantly white art form, so apparently it doesn't count. Doesn't count about appropriation. By the way, again, white working class people who do exist, even though you are actually saying that they don't exist when they do, get this the same amount of bullshit from the police that you would get from the police if you are indeed a Latino working class person. So yeah, again, the police just don't like poor people in general. It really has little to do with race unless said individual cops are racist. then we have an issue. But then again, there are police officers that aren't white. So again, are they racist to white people or Chinese people, etc.? Why is it only the white cops that get accused of racism? I'm just wondering, that's all.
Gentrification is all about the order of operation in the hood, full of problems, you know. Subtract the blacks, add the cash, divide a playground and see how many cars could fit in a new parking lot. Dismantle a community center to its square root, build a high-rise. Oh.
Now you see, he does have a point with gentrification, or regeneration as we call it here in the UK. But the problem is, he's taking it from the wrong perspective here, you see. Regeneration happens because the area is poor, not because these people happen to be black or Latino or anything like that. Race really has nothing to do with it. Case in point, Hume, which is an area in the UK, in my city of Manchester, and what happened is basically in the 60s, it was found that they lived in very poor conditions. However, they did have a sense of community. The people would look after each other. They had it was a very strong community. It wasn't broken down in that sense, but it was very poor, and the buildings they lived in and the things that they could have were very poor. They had limited scope to improve themselves, but they made do with what they had. So the British government, in an effort to improve their lives, and this happened across the UK, they decided to regenerate the area, and because there was this big socialist undertaking to try and improve the country and to make it better. And sadly, what happened was they would remove people from the area and put them somewhere else, or from one street to another street, and mix them with all these different people, and they wouldn't know each other. So when they built all these high rises and other buildings, the community was broken. The communities were now destroyed because they weren't in the same place and the spirit was broken. And along with other things that were happening in the 70s and all that other bullshit, so like the destruction of industry, loss of jobs, stuff like that, and also poor management from the council, these places got even more run down and even more just completely abandoned by councils and people who were meant to be looking after these people, so that they became even worse than what was originally intended. Now, this wasn't done on purpose. Most of the gentrified areas that happened to go wrong weren't deliberately meant to go wrong. It was an accident. It's human error. This wasn't done because these people happened to be black or white or Asian or anything like that. This was done because they were poor. This was meant to help them. This is what gentrification is all about. Now, sometimes gentrification probably is done to allow people who are richer to move in, but in the case of most of the time, it's to improve the area, to make it better, essentially. But he's making it a race issue, and it's not a race issue, it's a class issue. It has to do with class, but he's a social justice warrior, people remember. So he doesn't care about class. He doesn't care about that. It's all race. Race is the big issue. And if he mentioned class, he would probably have to mention how this guy probably isn't as poor as he makes himself out to be, and is just a champagne socialist or some kind of person who pretends to like the poor, but really is just in it for the dough. But you know what, I could be wrong. The point is, gentrification is made with good intentions, and when it goes wrong, it's not on purpose, and it's not meant to attack anybody with specific race. It's meant to improve their lot. Sometimes it might try to attract people from other richer neighbourhoods to live there, but the point is to make it better, not to make it worse, and not to target black people, or even Latino people, or even, it doesn't matter people, let's move on.
So you want to go on a date to the new Starbucks on the corner? Sure.
I actually feel this is projection, because he is actually the kind of person who was complaining about this, but then go to the Starbucks and drink there as if nothing was going on. You just know he's that kind of person.
Those vanilla bean frappes helped me forget my friend died last week. You never been to a funeral? Wow, you are so inexperienced. I've been to 15 of the last 2 years. I know death like the backside of my oppression.
Yeah, people die. That doesn't necessarily mean they're getting killed by oppressors. That doesn't mean they're being oppressed. They just died. But I guess we can predict where this is going, people, right?
Sorry, I didn't mean to pull the race card on you and make you uncomfortable. You know, it's just really hard for me not to act black.
I thought you were Latino or Latinx. Why are you now saying you're black? And also, did he, in that little segment about death, saying that there's a white privilege about death, so white people don't get killed or die in a way that black people and Latino people do? I'm utterly confused. And now he's saying he's one thing, now he's saying he's another. Huffington Post, you need to be specific. Come on.
When I am black, like, it's really hard for you to consider me a human when I am a human.
Yeah, and you've just ignored the plight of poor white people and white people who have their own issues and have been affected by the things that black people and Latino people have been affected by. So you're dehumanizing them by denying their existence. So please don't go complaining about white people considering you to be inhuman when you're the one that's actually doing the dehumanizing here, mate. You, with the whole white privilege thing, is doing that. You're basically saying that all white people don't have issues, that everything is rosy for them, and that they're literally being given things on a platter when it's nothing like that at all. You are nothing but a hypocrite. You are the oppressor, by your logic, that is.
Oh, so you're going on a cruise to the Caribbean? You know, you should visit the Dominican Republic.
Black people also go on cruises to the Caribbean, especially if they're from the UK, because they've got family over there or they just like to visit it. It's not just a white thing. People of all over the world go to visit not just the Dominican Republic for some reason. They go to Cuba, they go to St. Lucia, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. They go to loads of places, the Bahamas as well. Come on, it's a tourist destination for everybody. I don't understand why this is a white thing. What are you trying to say here?
Take a picture next to that Christopher Columbus statue in the island's capital. Everyone will think you are of his bloodline and will ask you to sign their jars of bleaching cream.
Wait, I'm confused. What are you trying to say here? Are you trying to say that they think that these people are poor and that when they take pictures next to the statue, that these people will be like, oh, amazing white people? I'm utterly confused by this. This makes no sense. And isn't it interesting that the Dominican Republic has a statue of Christopher Columbus? Yeah, over here, and especially in America, we want to tear down all these statues and pictures and take away the works of Shakespeare because these people are white and symbols of oppression. Isn't it interesting that the Dominican Republic have that statue and don't seem to think that way and seem to be okay with the history of their country? I think that's a bit interesting, isn't it, people?
Crowds of melanin, ready to do as you say. You will think to yourself, huh, just like the good old days.
You guys are obsessed with melanin and nobody's going to be doing that. Wait, are you talking about beggars? Are you talking about people begging for money? Are you saying that these people are poor and are begging the white people for money? What? Why would anybody say that? What kind of white person thinks that way? Are you talking about white nationalists? Are you talking about the alt-right? Most white people don't think that way. They would probably think, wow, there's a lot of beggars here. This is a bit odd. Oh, come on, seriously? What is that point? You literally made no point from like the last minute of your video onwards. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Anyway, that's the end of the video, people. Dear God, this was more mind-numbingly confusing than I actually thought it was going to be. So what have we learnt today? Nothing much. Just this guy doesn't know what it's like to be white. He doesn't know the experiences that white people have, and he's actually the one who's dehumanizing people. So until next time, donate to my Patreon, like and share the video, comment on the video, and until next time, I'll see you all later.